endocrine system. This is the posterior side of the pituitary gland, and this is the anterior side of the pituitary gland. Growth hormone targets GBCs, which activates your growth in your bone and muscles. TSH targets your thyroid gland, which promotes T3, T4, targets your general body cells, and raises your BMR. ACTH targets your adrenal gland, which targets your cortisol, targets your GBC, and promotes healing. Fear targets your medulla, which targets your epinephrine and norepinephrine, which promotes fight or flight. ACTH also involves the cortex, which targets aldosterone, which targets your kidneys, and promotes reuptake of Na. FSH and LH target your gonads, which target the reproduction hormones and produce gonads. PRL targets your breasts, which also promotes milk production. ADH targets your kidneys and targets the reuptake of H2O. Oxy targets both your uterus and your breasts. Your uterus promotes labor contraction, and your breasts promote milk letdown.
Hormones control the body, and the chemistry of hormones are released from the endocrine glands. The endocrine glands include your gonads, which are your ovaries in women, which produce the hormones estrogen and progesterone, which help maintain the sex characteristics for a female, where in males they produce them in their testes, which is testosterone, which maintains sex characteristics for a male. Next is the pineal gland up here. The pineal gland is located posterior to the thalamus and regulates your sleep and wake cycle, where the thyroid gland produces the thyroid hormone TH, which also contains T3 and T4, and also produces PTH, which is the parathyroid hormone, which helps control your calcium levels. Falling blood calcium levels trigger the PTH release, and rising blood calcium levels inhibit its release. PTH increases calcium levels in blood by stimulating 3 target organs: the skeleton, the kidneys, and the intestines. The adrenal glands produce the hormones, adrenocortical hormones, which stimulate by ACTH, and also in the cortex of the adrenal glands you will find the hormones epinephrine and norepinephrine, which take responsibility for the roles of your fight or flight reaction. The thymus contains the hormones thymosin, thymopepsin, and thymosin. Their chemical compositions are peptides. The pancreas produces 2 antagonist hormones to control blood sugar: glucogen and insulin. The alpha cells of the pancreas produce glucogen. Glucogen raises blood glucose levels by stimulating the liver to metabolize glycogen into glucose molecules and to release glucose into the blood. In the hypothalamus, there are 2 sets of nerve cells in the hypothalamus that produce hormones. One that sends the hormones they produce down through the pituitary stalk to the posterior lobe of the pituitary gland, where these hormones are released directly into the bloodstream. These hormones are the antidiuretic hormone and oxytocin. The pineal gland is a tiny endocrine gland that is found in the brain. It produces and secretes the hormone melatonin, which is a hormone that helps regulate biological rhythms such as a sleep and wake cycle. The secretion of melatonin is inhibited by light and triggered by darkness. In the pituitary gland, you have an anterior and a posterior side. The anterior pituitary gland produces and releases ACTH into the bloodstream, which stimulates the adrenal glands to secrete the steroid hormone cortisol, known as a growth hormone, which regulates growth, metabolism, and body composition. Also found in the pancreas is the pancreatic islets, also called the islets of Langerhans. They're tiny cell clusters that produce the pancreatic hormones. The two major populations of hormones producing cells, the glycogen synthesizing alpha cells and the more numerous insulin synthesizing beta cells. These cells act as tiny fuel sensors, secreting glycogen and insulin appropriately during the fasting and fed states.
Diabetes insipidus is an ADH deficiency which raises your urine output.
Gigantism targets your growth hormone, leaving you abnormally tall.
Cushing syndrome is caused by excess ACTH secretion.
Myxedemia includes puffy eyes and low metabolic rate.
Goiter, also known as Graves' disease, is an enlarged thyroid gland.
Hyperglycemia is elevated glucose.
Diabetes mellitus results from either hyposecretion or hypoactivity of insulin.